And welcome back, guys. This is Dynasty Mind with Christopher Chung at _ Dynasty Mind. I've actually moved towards changing my Twitter handle, if those who don't remember me, and I will get things fixed up. Things will need to change, of course, and then I am back part-time. Unfortunately, work has been amazing for me, but also very stressful for me to continue producing content. But I am excited about the new direction that Fakepigskin is going. I am very much excited about having Draft Site as our partner, and we are going to continue to grow. Our content has been really amazing for our guys. Our DFS, we have more than just NFL. We have basketball going, we have PGA going, we have college football going, and these are amazing writers. And if you get a chance now, go to fakepigskin.com, check out our articles. Everything is free and it will remain free. All we ask for is for you to support us by showing us you care, by showing us that you visit our site, and of course, always remember to just follow us on Twitter, engage us in discussion. Tonight, we just kind of talk about the NFL season. That's how everything has been going on. If you hear a pop, something's going on with my mic. I have no idea what it is. Hopefully it doesn't show up. But again, the 2018 season has been nothing short of crazy. And every year I say the same thing, but this year especially, I have a lot of fortunate breaks and also a lot of unfortunate breaks, and nothing can prepare us for the craziness that goes on. Big trades. We have have to deal with some of the holdouts like Le'Veon Bell, and tonight we're kind of showing why Le'Veon is not going to be missed by the Pittsburgh Steelers, as they are currently Thursday night dominating Panthers on defense. James Conner is showing us that he has running back one upside, and perhaps even just become a top 5 running backs going forward. I don't know yet. I like his skill set. He definitely can be the next David Johnson, which I see falling outside of the top 5 from now on. But James Conner might be someone that is just going to rise up, maybe stay up there. He's currently one of the best running back on the season, and there's no denying about it. If you started him every week, you have been more pleasant outcome than you have pretty much any negative outcome. So I'll open up my Twitter tweet deck, just for you guys to kind of follow along what I usually follow every day when I open my tweet deck. You'll see the different people that are providing me with content, so that I am never alone and I can always hit these people up for advice, and vice versa. People can hit me up for advice. TweetDeck is still the best way to get updated on stuff. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. All the way from the draft and up until now, we are in week 10. From the draft on, craziness, a lot of things where players have landed. Certainly, there has been a lot of talk about Nick Chubb, Rashad Penny, DJ Moore, Calvin Ridley, of course, Saquon Barkley, the unquestioned 101, and it shows why he's already up there and part of the top 10 running backs, perhaps even top 5, along with James Conner. So we're seeing a lot of different names than we are used to in the top 5, but because he's fairly new and already entering the season with a couple of 100 yards games that I think breaking the record, even breaking some records. So we have something special here, even though on a NFL sense, Saquon Barkley might not have been the best draft, but that's up for debate. As far as I know, Saquon is going to be a fantasy darling. He's worth everything that you've paid for him and perhaps more, and he will reward you. For those who may be able to pawn off like a Le'Veon Bell, a David Johnson, before you even saw one snap of NFL snap from Saquon Barkley, you are rewarded with a top 5 running back, and his upside is, of course, tied to his receiving ability, and he's been doing a lot more reception than running, and that is understandable because the Giants' offensive line is hot garbage. Now, aside from Saquon Barkley, we have a lot of exciting running backs to talk about as well. We have Nick Chubb, who's just recently got the job, he's showing a steady run. Let's just not account for that 3-touch, 100 gazillion yard games. Outside of that, that just shows you potential. But on the whole, where he's getting the touches between 12, 15 to 20 touches, he is a steady running back 2 with a running back 1 upside. And Cleveland, of course, is turning a new leaf and hopefully be able to balance it out well between Chubb and Duke Johnson. But everything that I've seen so far, I am happy with where I drafted Nick Chubb. I would personally had him at the 102 fantasy draft, but perhaps he's more like a 103, 104. But I'm not too. Again, you're not gonna be disappointed if you landed Chubb over some of the other running backs. And so, surprise running back to us all, one that actually knocked down a first-round graded running back, Philip Lindsay, undrafted free agent, and just landed with the Broncos. You heard the drum beat, you heard the smoke signal. If you chose to ignore it or be blinded by Royce Freeman's love, or perhaps being shied off by the three-headed monster potential with Devontae Booker, hey, Philip Lindsay was a free pickup for the most part, and when you got him, you're starting him. Basically, every week he's startable. He may not deliver you the over-the-top 20-plus PPR points every week, but it is looking like he's averaging between 12 to 15, maybe 18 points from week in, week out, and that is a great price, and you've gotten him from the waiver wire, basically, even in a dynasty sense, even in your deepest dynasty where people were trying to pay attention. Philip Lindsay was a basically free or a very low cost. It wasn't until the preseason that's when people finally got notice of him, but it was also the preseason where people fell in love with Royce Freeman, which has been nothing short of disappointment so far. And if you had drafted him in the early second round, he's right where you are. You have not lost anything. If you have somehow elevated his value because of some preseason touches to a mid-first, and I've seen even people willing to rise him above the names of Nick Chubb, rise him above the likes of Kerryon Johnson, Ronald Jones, you are pretty much disappointed. You are stuck with a guy who right now is losing a lot of work to Philip Lindsay. Speaking of Kerryon Johnson and Ronald Jones, hey, I am pleasantly surprised that I was wrong about Kerryon Johnson. Kerryon is going to be fantastic. It's the volume that's not there. We cannot expect it to be there because of how he's being used, because of Patricia's fascination with LeGarrette Blount and Theo Riddick. But when given a chance, when you see Kerryon Johnson getting upwards to 15 touches a game, 15 carries a game, there's a running back 1 in the waiting. LeGarrette Blount will cap his upside, but that's not to say that LeGarrette Blount's nuisance is something that you have to worry about too much. As some of the statistic has shown, Blount has been more involved from the 5-yard out in the red zone, but Kerryon was still used inside the 20, inside the 10. So it's not like Kerryon is completely phased out of the red zone opportunities. So, hey, that is a guy you want to get now. If people are worried about the LeGarrette Blount, you might be able to flip a high-end, exciting wide receiver for Kerryon or a tight end for Kerryon, and I would definitely approve of that move. Now, on the other spectrum, Ronald Jones. I cannot tell you how disappointed I am of Ronald Jones. He was not one of my favorites. I knew some of his limitations coming in, but it was supposedly a good opportunity where Tampa Bay has shipped off Doug Martin. They have some Jags around like Jacquizz Rodgers, and they have Peyton Barber. But it is unfortunate, and perhaps Ronald Jones is just mimicking the ghost of the former exciting draft pick like Jeremy McNichols. Ronald Jones just doesn't seem to get it. I don't think he's as bad as Jeremy McNichols. I actually do see some flashes, but this coaching staff might not like him after all. They find every reason to bury him, and to be quite honest, Ronald Jones seemed a little bit overwhelmed, and without any catching in his repertoire, it makes it really even harder to just get on the field when you have a guy like Peyton Barber, right? So if you can't even surpass Peyton Barber or Jacquizz Rodgers, there's a lot to worry about. I say hold. I say try to buy low. And by buy low, anything from a mid-second or lower for Ronald Jones is considered a buy low at this point. And it's very doable. On the other end of a very much a terrible outcome is Rashad Penny. Now, I've been vocal about Rashad Penny not paying off his draft capital. And it's not that I don't like him. I really like his skill set. I just thought that he got really overrated, meaning people expected a workhorse load, thinking that because Seattle is such a run-heavy team that they will use Rashad Penny a lot. And that, I believe, my friend, is called a fallacy of rational coaching or overestimating draft capital. Now, when you hear overdrafting or overestimating or overrated, that's not a move for you to swing way to the opposite. It just means that relative to my expectation or your expectation, he is way overpriced in terms of cost to acquire him. With that being said, we saw Rashad Penny rise up all the way to 102, and that is just a crazy price to pay for a guy that I didn't see having a running back one right out of the gate type of a skill set. Who knows? Maybe the future will have something in hold for him. But even now, as Chris Carson is injured, we see Seattle preferring Mike Davis, who is, to me, a really limited type of player. And again, similar to the Ronald Jones scenario, if you can't surpass a limited role player, what do you have? You have a guy that is going to keep falling in value, in perceived value. And by next year, people might be more excited about a lesser talented crop of running back of the 2019 class. They would rather have them over Rashad Penny. So again, I would kind of consider looking for opportunities to buy low. I don't mind spending maybe a 112, 110 for Rashad Penny. And if I said Ronald Jones before, I apologize. I totally meant Rashad Penny. Still believe that he is a back with a skill set, and patience needs to be practiced. So as with the game is going on right now, I just saw James Conner going to the medical tent, so I am officially worried. He's got his stats for today, so that's great, but it's still it's just okay. And of course, that means Steelers are really going to be relying on Jalen Samuels, a name forgotten by almost everyone in the Dynasty verse. So that's another guy you might want to consider picking up if he's on the waiver wire in shallower Dynasty leagues. But especially in Dynasty leagues, he needs to be owned. Jalen Samuels has a unique skill set, and hopefully they will expand more on it. He's not just a running back. He can line up at tight end. He can line up at H-back, just used in a variety of ways in conjunction with James Conner. Now, in talking about the rookies, I think one other one that I want to mention is Darius Geis. We haven't seen anything from him. Unfortunate for him that he couldn't even get his rookie campaign started. Losing him to an ACL injury during the preseason is a massive loss. I still believe in a lot of Darius Geis, and I want him to do well. He has every opportunity to come back next year when Washington might move on from Adrian Peterson. I think they will. I just don't see Adrian Peterson being the answer. But Washington is also a team that seems to be very crowded in the backfield. I don't know if you're going to get much of a discount on Geis. I doubt it. I think people are still looking for at least a 105 or 104 to trade for him, and maybe even more. So that makes him a little bit harder to buy. But it's not out of question that when the next rookie class hit, that people are preferring the rookies of 2019, such as a Deebo Samuels, maybe a Calvin Harmon, some wide receivers. Noah Fant even over Darius Guice. So those are your opportunities. If you believe in Darius Guice, that is an opportunity for you to buy him. So that is much it for the rookie class. It's an amazing class. I have to say I'm very pleased with the immediate contributions. We've seen the contributions from quarterbacks. We've seen some contributions from some of the wide receivers that I didn't even get a chance to talk about. I will take some more opportunities to do so in future episodes. But let's move on to some of the veteran moves that are going on. This year has been... while not necessarily flipping it upside down where you believe that drafting running backs early is a bad mistake, I would argue that outside of Todd Gurley, Ezekiel Elliott, Melvin Gordon, Saquon Barkley, and I think I'm missing one more name, I would have to say outside those guys, I think the wide receivers might be dominating this year. We have Julio Jones, who just scored 1 touchdown so far, and his touchdown came in week 9. And yet he is producing like a top 5 wide receiver. And we have Odell Beckham, who is up and down, but for the most part, you get some good games from him because they're trying to force feed him the ball. Sometimes he gets phased out. For the most part, I still think zero running back is the way to go. And my reason for that is we see a lot of running backs in the mid rounds that has popped off. We have James White. We have TJ Yeldon, who's been far more useful than Leonard Fournette. We have guys like what's the running back from San Francisco? We have Matt Breida that was functional for some part, but not really. So maybe that's a bad example. But again, Philip Lindsay was there. Latavius Murray, who was more or less a high-end running back 2, low-end running back 1 when Dalvin Cook was injured. And those are guys you acquire in the mid rounds or the late rounds. So, hey, I still think zero running back is a fantastic strategy to go with. Again, zero running back does not mean that you're going to play chicken with running back, that you try to avoid drafting running back, but just knowing that running backs that can be found in the mid rounds, and if you can have a good maneuver of identifying them, I think it sets me up well. That's all I have to say. It's not a foolproof strategy, but it sets me up well to attack the waiver wire for replacements at the running back level, whereas everyone is overspending their draft capital early on for running backs. And I may not follow the point of the zero running back principles, but using it as a theory, using it as a guideline, has really set me up for success most often than not in Dynasty, in redraft, whatnot. All right, and speaking of veterans, other surprises, we have a couple of names that popped off this year that definitely didn't expect them to contribute as early and often. I think one of the names that immediately comes to mind is Adam Thielen. Now, he's not young, but he's definitely someone that is a steal considered where he was drafted. I know I was quite unhappy when I got sniped Amari Cooper and I had to quote unquote settle for Adam Thielen. So that is crazy how it all worked out, and just continue to be thankful for that. This year along, we have Ken Golladay, who is still has only shown flashes so far, but enough that his dynasty value keeps on growing and that he'll continue to be involved. And we'll talk later about the trades that happened just this past week. Other names that pop off are Cooper Kupp, Brandon Cooks. I think Josh Gordon is having a good year, not an amazing year, but definitely not a disappointing year for relative to where you took him. And then we have the surprising names like Sony Michel. He should actually belong in the rookie talk. He's actually pretty good. Everyone were very quickly to be down on him just because he had a couple of bad first few games. But he's proving himself to be an amazing running back. We also see some surgeons from tight ends this year. David Njoku finally looking like David Njoku. Oh, there we go. Jalen Samuels scoring a touchdown. Well, this is fantastic. And he's scored it as a H-back. Go figure. Jalen Samuels told you that he is going to be not going to take away Connor's looks, but he's definitely be able to use in tandem with James Conner. Christian McCaffrey. Some of us, not myself, I actually traded for Christian McCaffrey, tried to acquire him a lot. So that's another one of my calls that I am quite proud of. Christian McCaffrey looks to be having an amazing season, showing that he is capable of a running back one production. Not necessarily the load, but his quality of touches is higher than that of Alvin Kamara, and yet producing as an RB1 level. So you'll be happy if you drafted him mid round one or maybe early second round. The other name that actually came to mind as we're talking about this, oh my gosh, my mind just blanked out very quickly. So let me try to see if I can get back into the groove of things. Name. Well, let's move on to talking about trades, and there's a lot of big trades that happened this year that has a lot of fantasy impact. First one being Golden Tate being traded from Detroit to the Eagles. I have yet to see him play at this point, play with the Eagles, but I expect him to just make Nelson Aguilar irrelevant. Whereas coming into the season, I was quite high on Aguilar being that slot guy. Eagles, I don't know what they're doing, but really just, phased out of the game plan right now because Golden Tate far superior than Nelson Aguilar. Hopefully enhance the Eagles offense. Then we have the trade of Josh Gordon to the New England Patriots, and he's finally clicking with Brady, making some good moves. He's not quite there to be counted on as a wide receiver one, but you're not going to sit him for any of the weeks. I mean, if you own him, man, you like the high floor production maybe, and it can only get better from here. And from what I can tell, looking forward to him playing against Tennessee and playing against Malcolm Butler. The other name that was involved in the trade, Amari Cooper, we kind of mentioned. Oakland is hitting the nuclear button and just wiping out everything that is young and now going towards very old, which is quite the opposite of what a rebuild looks like, but Gruden has a plan. In any case, Amari Cooper, just seen him in one game with Dallas. Dallas, of course, want to make their investment, their trade first round for him, make it worth it. And so far, I don't know if Amari can help him win games, but Amari is definitely a wide receiver, functionally a wide receiver one from an NFL point of view for the Dallas Cowboys, as a target that Dak sorely needs. We can expect somewhere between 70, 80 yards and a touchdown kind of average for Amari Cooper. So I'm kind of happy he's got out of Oakland. Another trade that happened involving a skilled player. Let me see if I can remember his name. We had a third for Golden Tate. And we had a fifth for Josh Gordon, a first for Amari Cooper. Someone was traded for a fourth round pick, and I'm blanking on the name right now. I will come back to that, guys. I am sorry that I'm not as prepared as I can be, but this is what happens when you are doing full-time work and just trying to do a solo show on short notice. In any case, your season might be over, or you are high flying going into the playoffs, but that doesn't mean that you are ignoring the 2019 class. We have to pay attention as Dynasty Minds continually try to build, understanding how the class is shaping up to be, and knowing what we can do with our draft capital. So again, this year in 2019, definitely we're not going to have as talented of a crop of running backs again as the 2018 season. We might have a revisit of a 2020 season with a good crop of running back. But 2019, you are looking to invest in wide receivers. We have a lot of names at wide receivers, and you want to pay attention to these names. If you have not paid attention to college football, what are you doing? Please start looking forward to some of the names that you need to pay attention to. This is about the crunch time. This is when teams are facing a tough stretch in their schedule or fighting for a playoff spot. So names to pay attention to for the 2019 season, we have A.J. Brown out of Ole Miss, Calvin Harmon out of NC State, Deebo Samuels out of South Carolina, and his partner in crime, whose name I'm blanking on right now. Be on the lookout for. We also have N'Keal Harry from Arizona State. We also look forward to having, oh my gosh, what's the wide receiver? Arcega Whiteside from one of the Pac-12 teams. I believe it's Stanford. If not, it is that other Pac-12 team. But Arcega Whiteside is another name that didn't come in the year with much fanfare if you didn't pay attention to Pac-12. Tons and tons of other names that are worthy of first-round rookie draft picks. On the running back side, it's not too shabby either. I mean, we have David Montgomery. We have Travis Etienne. We have a couple of other names that you should pay attention to that are making a name for themselves. We didn't hear much about them during the offseason, but they are definitely risers on draft boards and names that you want to file away now. Even if you don't pay attention to CFB, just take down the names. Be prepared to look at them once the offseason hits. Once All-Star game begins, once Combine begins, you already have a set of names to know who you're looking for. All right. So as far as those who are even crazier and looking to, further down than 2019, the 2020 season jam-packed with a lot of amazing talent. Again, we have Jonathan Taylor, Cam Akers. We have, who is that other running back? Oh my gosh. A.J. Dillon. Just some names to pay attention to. I'm sure they're already popular, but we have names like Laviska Shenault, who I believe is a 2020 prospect. We have Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs. We have Tua Tagovailoa. We have T. Higgins. All these names, if you haven't paid attention, guys, this is what separates you from the traditional, this is departing from your traditional dynasty owners who only pay attention when draft comes around, who gives some attention to the combine. You want to take it up to the next level, start paying attention to the classes and how they shape up to be, and you can plan your team reloading or rebuilding way in ahead. I recommend a lot of the tools that are out there. We have, the Devi Watch, we have the Dynasty, the Devi Report, we have DFF, we have DFS, we have our own Fakepigskin, who will be providing you with all the content and the process. So continue to check out this show, continue to log in, and just hit me up with any questions that you might have, anything that you want me to talk about on the show. This show is all about thinking like a dynasty owner. And I'm not going to tell you what the right or wrong way are. I'm telling you what you should start thinking about and how those will help you build your team according to your vision, what your theories is about fantasy football, what your sources, what your tools, all of these things, how you put them together. I'm only here to provide you with the guidelines of where to look. You just need to put the tools together. Before I close off, this is a crappy year for University of Miami. I promise that I will tilt about them. I give a little rant. What a crappy year to lose to Duke, Boston College, and Virginia. 3 of the teams that we traditionally beat, and it is nothing short of disappointment. I feel bad for my boys because these players are immensely talented. The play calling has been horrendous. But just so you know, because of my fandom with Miami, I can give you some pointers to look out for who might be some interesting folks that you might look forward to drafting. None of these are going to necessarily be a first round worthy dynasty pick, but they can definitely be a contributor. We have Travis Homer, running back in the 2019 class. Lawrence Cager, a tall red zone type kind of wide receiver who couldn't fully realize his potential at the U because of injury, but he is showing this year that he's a throw it, catch it type of receiver and can make those big plays as a 6'4", 6'5" type of wide receiver. And for the 2020 season, you have Jeff Thomas, a speedster who reminds me a lot of Deshaun Jackson, maybe a little bit shorter than him, but nonetheless a speedster. And then we have Mark Pope, and for even future further in Lingard, who we didn't get to see much. Cameron Davis, and the running back, all belonging in the 2021 class. All right, so that's it for me tonight, folks. Enjoy the game. If you are watching it right now, it is time where Steelers are even replacing Ben Roethlisberger with Josh Dobbs. But the starters are still out there, so that's kind of weird. In any case, good night. Hit me up. My Twitter handle is _Dynasty Mind, and I hope to hear from you. Hope you are sharpening your process. Hope you are sharpening your Dynasty Mind.